process thing. Reordered it, put your main reasons why you want to go with that process, and then I took out the acreage and I just put if the lot size proposed in this example were large, looking at the existing lots zone to have two, and the subject site would be large enough to accommodate. So, not giving a number there.
Gentlemen,
Hey Arthur, how you doing?
John, how are you?
Good. Good.
How you doing? There's a block combination for you guys, but that should go quick because it's the combination.
Yeah, yeah.
So. Vincent, Arthur Mullen.
What's going on?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have.
You can do it, but I'm just adding additional content.
No, it's okay. Well,
Just adding additional content.
yeah.
Understood.
It's unrecommended.
Understood.
And I think.
Yeah.
But I just want, you know, get you back in.
Yeah. So we should. I'll put on the trailer for
How are elections?
I was just prior to
They're gonna be. The what?
Okay, so
33 already in 3 days, right? So 10 a day?
it's 9 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got your.
Well, thanks for providing the thanks for providing it.
Yeah, I got down here at like 6. So. It's alright. I'd rather be here and be than like freaking out like last time.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were, because all of a sudden I'm freaking like, they're close, but there's, you know, I just, you know.
At least I have 2 minutes. Well, they always, the city administrators always up front. That guy's intro, so he's taking over.
That's amazing.
Yes.
start with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Katie, can we call roll?
Baker. Bilk. Cox.
Here.
Frazone. Hutchinson.
Here.
Mendoza Bach. Hyatt. Here. Upholzer. Wood.
Here.
And then just please make sure your microphones are on.
Can I get a motion to excuse absent members?
Motion to excuse absent members. Mendoza, Bach, Baker, and
Upholzer.
who else?
Upholzer.
Upholzer.
Do we have a second? Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Do we have any public comment on matters on the agenda?
Good evening, everybody. Garrett Schumate, 31140 Island Drive. First off, I want to make sure everybody has a proper introduction to Vince. Vince is our new interim manager, the city of Gibraltar. For those that are following the council meetings, we made a decision to pursue Vince, and Vince started officially last Friday. So Vince, just want to thank you for being in our city. If it's okay with the chair, Vince, maybe you can just properly introduce yourself to everybody in the room and those that are listening in.
I did just say hello, but my background is I've been a city manager or county administrator for the last 31 years. I was recently in Monroe for not quite 7 years, and prior to that I was in Farmington as their city manager for 12 and a half. Time with up in central Michigan as county administrator for Isabella and Mount Pleasant, and my first job as a manager was in Clare, and I was there 5.5 years. Did 1 year down in Florida, crazy Florida, but came back to Michigan. So it's and ended up leaving on good terms in Monroe, and decided to take the summer off, decompress, and then winter arrives and I run out of things to do. Unfortunately, the mayor contacted me if I was interested on an interim basis, and more than glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Vince. We're really grateful to have you on board for the interim manager position. And to those that sitting right and left of Vince, I think he'll be a great resource as he enters this discussion with fresh eyes. Second thing, I know I've raised this in prior public comments for this commission, but just want to overemphasize the importance of informed decision-making, making sure that everybody sitting in front of us is carefully weighing all the thorough information that we're hoping to be providing as you evaluate the agenda topics, and making sure that you're raising questions if you don't have the information readily available to you. And then most importantly, weighing the impact of your decisions that you make for what's best for Gibraltar for the long term. So just want to continue to emphasize that as you weigh everything in front of you and navigate the discussions amongst you, both tonight and in the future together. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Garrett. Do we have any other public comment for matters on the agenda? Alrighty, approval of the agenda is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next, we have approval of the previous meeting minutes. We have, A is the Planning Commission minutes of January 16th, 2024. Do we have a motion to approve the commission minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And then we have approval of the meeting minutes for the public hearing of January 16th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have no acknowledgement of correspondence. Do we have public comment on matters not on the agenda? Hi.
Kathy LaPointe, 2987 174 Kingsbridge Drive. I think I missed my opportunity up here for public comment, but my question is, will we have public comment after the proposal for the rezoning of this property to make a comment? Because it's not on the agenda here. So I can't really comment because I haven't seen the presentation. So I guess I'd ask a commissioner or anybody to make a motion to add public comment at the end of the meeting before you adjourn.
Sounds good. I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Moved and supported to, do you have that, Katie? Okay. All opposed or all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, we have no unfinished business. We have 2 items for new business. We have a lot consolidation. First up, Arthur, do you want to touch on that real quick?
Sure.
I believe the applicant is here.
Yep. The lot consolidation, we tend not to do a formal review because anything that is not in compliance, you're bringing it closer to compliance when you do a lot consolidation. It's when we do review lot splits. But in this case, the minimum lot size, this would bring them well over the minimum size in the R1 district. The R1 district, I believe, is 90, let me get the minimum requirements is 9,600 square feet and the 80-foot width. And this will be at the narrowest, 91.5 feet wide and measuring almost over 13,000 square feet. So it actually complies with the minimum lot requirements if we were even platting new property. So with that, it would be an opportunity for the applicant to come forward, talk about the request, and then a recommendation to council.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Jakovac. I live at 30042 Friar. I don't really know what to let you know, but the house burned down next door to me. I just thought it was a good opportunity for me to purchase the land next to me because it's a funny shaped lot. It's a pie-shaped lot with only 30 feet in the front of it. So if they put a new home in there, they're pretty well stacked in there. That and the fact that there is a brand-new garage on the property that I can utilize and I wanted to keep. So that's basically my purpose for obtaining it. And it will increase the resale value of my home.
Sure,
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I think this, as Arthur mentioned, brings this single parcel into our minimum required lot size, so does anybody, we'd be looking for a recommendation to council to consider the consolidation, unless there's any discussion before, questions?
No problem recommending it to council.
All right. I'll second it.
Sounds like we have a,
You're making the motion?
Jim made a
Okay.
motion. Yep.
All right, motion to recommend the lot consolidation to city council. Got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All
All
set?
right. Thank you.
Okay, second item in new business is consideration of the Wilkinson rezoning request with Gibraltar Land Company. I understand we have a presentation today as well as some documentation that Arthur had sent out last week. Appreciate you bringing us back up to speed on the history of the discussion for the property. Let's go through the presentation first, and then we can touch base on some recommendations and considerations that we have. And
Is there a way I can I plug my computer into this?
Oh, sure, yeah.
just-
Just
all
unplug
right.
the white cord, I think it is?
Yep. I'm sorry, I wanted to just make sure.
That was seamless. They normally don't go that seamless.
All right. I'll start. I'm here representing the owner of the property, Mark. We have presented to you guys before. I'm not sure how many have changed or how many of the people that aren't here are the people that have changed since the last time we presented. We're still, the main things are, this is the existing site. It's out on Gibraltar Road, surrounded by the two railroads to the east and the west, the old landfill to the north, and then across the street to the south is the manufactured housing. And then there is a existing industrial on the little property to the south also. The property is zoned currently PUD with an underlying zoning of M3. I think a lot of this was covered in Arthur's history of the project going forward. The future land use designation in the 2023 Gibraltar master plan is shown here on the little map. The property's zoned or future land use designation is industrial. The top portion of it is overlaid with the public, semi-public future land use designation. So, and then you could see it a little bit. According to the master plan, the following zoning districts would be the appropriate correspondings to those future land use designations. The project that the property owner would like to do is a recreational vehicle resort / campground use on the northern 78 acres of the site. The existing site is 123 acres. This is an example of what it would be. It would be your normal campground. You've probably all seen them or visited them before. You bring your RV there or tent and you camp out for the weekend, and you do this. Some of the amenities, you have playgrounds. Those are a typical site would look like, bathrooms, basketball courts, things like that. This site has a pond, so that pond would be incorporated into the amenities. The reason that the property owner thinks that this is an appropriate use for that lot, one, the lot's located on Gibraltar, which is one of your minor arterials, so it's a larger street. Two, the site's easily accessible to utilities, so there's utilities on that front on Gibraltar Road already. The location, the area, there's a small pond, like I said, in the back, and then it's surrounded by existing forestscape to the north. So when you're out on the site, it's very serene and very beautiful. So that's another reason. Another good reason for this is that, one, it's bordered by the two railroad tracks to the east and the west. The old landfill site is to the north, so it's secluded. It's set off of Gibraltar Road, so it would be very secluded, very screened from any of its existing neighbors, and there'd be a long distance between it and any of its neighbors, so less likely having any complaints. The site is less, and then also the basic location of where it's located in relation to downtown Detroit. It's 30 miles. It's less than 5 miles from the Lake Erie Metro Parks, 10 miles from, I don't know how to say your game area, so I don't want to botch it. It's Mooley State, Mooley State Game Area, but also the city of Gibraltar itself has over 1,000 boat slips, so it would also provide place where somebody that wanted to have a boat slip here could come and stay for the weekend and use their boat from their boat slips. So there's a lot of recreational uses in the area, outdoor recreational uses in the area, and then also directly in the city that make this a desirable location for a recreational facility such as this. Go to the next slide. All right. The reason the city may want to consider this type of use It would be an alternative to a larger scale industrial use if the site was just zoned to an industrial zoning, the entire 123 acres. There is a need for this type of recreational type of use to support the existing recreational uses in the area, and it would help the city of Gibraltar become an elite outdoor recreation destination into the future. The use would support existing and foster new commercial, retail, and restaurants within your downtown. So because the way the city of Gibraltar is sort of located, your land mass is very restricted. So to have the numbers that you would need for people to attend a restaurant or a retail space, it would be a good use to bring those numbers, mostly on the weekends probably, into the community to support those types of uses in your downtown. The development of the site obviously would bring additional tax and utility revenues to the city of Gibraltar. So we have two main questions that we're here to ask tonight. We don't want to do something that this city doesn't want. We don't want to go through and try to fight you guys to put a recreational facility up. So we want to ask, what would the city rather have moving forward? Would they like to see a site developed as a RV campground site, or we can just go back to the underlying industrial? So that's our first question, what you want to see on the site. Obviously, I think it even mentioned it in Arthur's letter, that the property owner owns a property. He has a right to use it, but only to use it as it's zoned, which is industrial use. So it is future land use designated for public, semi-public on the northern half, and it could be used for that. But again, we only want to do that if the city wants to see that. So that's our first question. And then the second question we have for you is, what would the process be to move forward? So how do we move forward? We have been, obviously, again, you read Arthur's letter. We have been in the process for over 2 years now, trying to move the process forward. And it's gone through iterations. The first iteration was to amend the PUD. Then it was found that the PUD was not enacted within the time frame that it was allowed to be enacted. So now the PUD is sort of set into a vacant space. And then it was to amend the zoning to create this PSP district. We still haven't had a PSP zoning district created, and we're sort of in a holding stage to try to figure out what's happening with the city. The property owner obviously wants to start this process as quick as possible. So his preferred process to move forward would be to use a existing zoning district that you have, allow this as a special use in an existing zoning district. And the way you could do that is you would amend your zoning ordinance, or we would request an amendment to the zoning ordinance that would allow this as a special use permit under your Article 26, Planning Commission approvals, that would allow a campground and RV resort. So that would be the first thing, is we would propose a zoning text amendment, and along with that, we would propose a zoning map amendment at the same time. So we would amend the map to M2 zoning district, which is a zoning district that is existing in your code, and also is a zoning district that is compliant with your future land use designation. And then we would create a zoning text with Arthur's help and your review that would allow this in the M2 zoning district under section 484-825. This would be similar to the way you guys currently allow gas service stations. You have that under 44-848. It's just a planning commission may permit these things with this special use permit, and then you have regulations. And the reason that I think this would be an easier process to move through would be if you designate this as an M2 zoning district, you can see on your zoning map the current land that's designated M2 zoning. There are no larger parcels in there, so one of the special use permit criteria for that you would set would be a requirement that a parcel that has a campground or RV resort has to be a certain size. So that would then restrict it to basically just this property in that case. If you are afraid that campgrounds and RV resorts would take over your community, and that's one of the things. So, but you would also put things in there like the size of the lots or the size of the campsites requirements. And then obviously this would all have to go through preliminary and final site plan review, just like in your current zoning, in your current special use permit regulations. So it just creates a process that's current, that could move forward currently with your existing zoning district. The other option would be to submit a conditional rezoning application. Conditional rezoning applications are allowed under the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, section 125-3405. These are basically rezonings to so we would request a rezoning to the PSP district, which you don't currently have in place, and then have a project specific to that PSP district. And that project specific would be the campground use. So, and then what section 125.3 states is that if that land use is not built or the project is not constructed to the way it was approved, then the land reverts back to its former zoning classification. So again, what that does is it allows the property owner to not rezone his parcel to PSP except with just the campground use. So the parcel would only be zoned PSP if the campground use was built. Otherwise, it would revert back to its underlying zoning, which unfortunately currently is PUD. And there's your future land use designations in your master plan have a implementation measure to merge some of your industrial districts. So it's still a little wishy-washy on your industrial districts, what it would be. It's either M1 or M2 depending on, but the way your future land use map is set up, the new M1 district would be a mix of M1, M2 districts. So you can see where we're a little confused because we're sitting in this limbo where we really don't have a zoning currently because we're PUD. Our revert back zoning is M3, but our future land use designation either industrial or PSP, but neither of those zoning districts are currently created. So like I said, my applicant would like to move forward with this. And I think the only way to move forward today, would either be you approve some zoning districts so we could use them, or we just revert to one of your existing zoning districts and then do the zoning text amendment. So I guess our second biggest question was, what's the way you want us to move forward? What is best for the city of Gibraltar if you do say in question one, that you would like us to move forward with the RV resort or campground use. Or if you say, no, you don't want us to, we'll just then revert back to the PUD, and then Mark will start marketing this to other industrial users, so, to move forward. And that's it for my presentation. So I guess now you can, and then I think this was mine. Last time I was here, I left it here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing. A couple quick things to summarize. So you guys came in 2021, you came back in the spring of 2023, again at the end of summer, and then,
And a couple other times.
yeah, a couple other times. I think something to keep in mind, and then I'll turn it over to Arthur just to go through a couple recommendations that he sent out to the team. Any recommendations today, made or not, still require a public hearing before the planning commission, before it goes to city council. After rezoning, any specific development proposal by Gibraltar Land Company would have to come back before the planning commission with site plan review and such, and then potentially, if appropriate, a special use approval. So if we make a decision today, it's a recommendation, essentially.
What does the EPA say about that property?
That I
All
can't speak to.
PFAS in there.
Well, I think he's trying to get approval to move forward to get those, he's saying, give us the okay to look into it further.
Yeah.
And let the,
So what happens if they find it's contaminated? Unusable, that, I was back there and that pond, I don't know, you might have three-eyed fish in there for all I know.
You can,
It ain't
Let's-
nothing like the picture you see on it.
let's let Arthur go through the potential recommendations. I think once we get past that, if we make a decision for a recommendation today, then we can discuss some of that stuff. I can't speak to that, I don't know that.
'Cause
So
they're
I think, so,
They're testing for PFAS in there now.
right, so one thing I think we kind of need to separate things apart. One is looking at the properties and zoning. Right now, he has no ability to move forward because of the PUD. And that is not, we can't leave it in that condition.
I wanna ask
So we
a
have to do
question.
something relative to
It's,
that.
you're saying, we're saying it's PUD now, but didn't I hear the comment that the PUD was never acted upon?
No, it was never perfected by the owner, which is build the residential.
Okay,
So
so
but it was.
it was previously rezoned PUD for a project that was never, as in what your description is.
Right, was never complete, the residential development was never completed.
Okay.
And that would have completed the PUD. But because that never was completed, it's kind of in this, the PUD basically expired, but it has to be formally removed. So that was, last spring, we talked about rezoning it, and it was talking about rezoning it to M1, but the applicant felt M1 really restricted their capabilities to move forward with anything as the current M1 that we have. So then we get into the master plan, and the master plan has a couple recommendations for this site. And that was, one was to, made the future land use and divided the property. So the map we did recommend that the back portion would be public, could be public, semi-public, or industrial. And part of that was because of the concern about industrial, making all of it industrial, and trying to reduce the amount of land within the city that could be developed as an industrial. So that was one of the, rationales for having a split future land use for the northern property. Also, the applicant was interested for that. Then the second also is the master plan talks about wanting to support and enliven the downtown. A lot of residents are concerned about that, and this would help support the businesses during the summer by bringing people into town that would be here for recreational activities, the marinas or the parks that are adjacent. So that's kind of like how we got to this point. Does that seem, were we all on the same page, basically?
Are there any options or any paths forward where they have their option one, where 78.56 acres for the campground, and then the rest is industrial? Are there options to, let's say, that remaining land, ease it up and not, maybe not industrial, maybe something that would help their campground?
Well, if you remember, the recommendation also for the industrial, the merger of the industrial districts, also would allow along major roads within, so right now we have M1, M2, M3. M1 and M2 are similar, but M1 does not have many options, very light industrial allowed. It's not really reasonable for development, partly why there hasn't been a lot of development. So the recommended in the master plan also recommended to allow commercial along the main road, 400 feet deep, which would even reduce the amount of industrial that is allowed.
So if I just understood you correctly, so if there was a vote on option one and the remaining property was industrial, that could actually become commercial if the applicant so choose?
If the planning commission moved forward with the merger and you looked at the M1, M2 recommendations, that's in there. So that would be if the planning commission moved forward to move the industrial, the changes envisioned in the master plan, which would take us from M1, M2, and M3 to just M1 and M2. M2 is McLeod. Is that site only. And then the remainder of the city, which is M1 and M2, would be merged into into a new M1 district. But the new M1 would then help you in your concern about too much industrial, would allow along main roads a commercial buffer.
It's kind of a tricky, so like so the commission, we worked through the master plan and put some notes out there and considerations and a lot of conversation around industrial versus commercial and things like that. I have like three kind of options that I kind of thought through after Arthur sent that and had some discussions, just to consider for the team. So we could align for the zoning request with the master plan, combining the three potentially manufacturing districts into the M zonings, and then adopt the public or semi-public zoning classification. If we do that, and it's approved by council and follows the whole process, that would allow for an RV park. That's like basically option one, essentially. One consideration in the PSPs is that then you do have commercial businesses along Gibraltar Road, right? Which could be a bunch of different stuff, right? So busy atmosphere, businesses on the road, between the tracks and Old Fort Street, stuff like that. We could allow for partial zoning request, combining the M zoning classifications, excluding a PSP, which would not allow for an RV park, but would shift that into allowing it would align with the master plan and would allow for some of that commercial type of stuff and light industrial. Or rezone the entire site to current M1 district language, not combining, which would then limit to heavy industrial, correct?
No,
sorry,
we do
light,
the
yes.
super light.
The super light, but then it doesn't allow for the other items. So that's just three scenarios, there's probably a million out there. But it's incumbent on us to think about the master plan and the conversations we had and things like that in the past as we consider it.
And then the other option, the other considerations is this is all coming back before you. So the next steps would be depending on what rezonings you would suggest, rezoning changes would require a public hearing. So then there would be a public hearing and notice, possibly at the next planning commission meeting, for the M1, M2, M3 consolidation and the PSP creation, and that moves forward. And that would be a public hearing here, but then it would go to council for approval by council. The next step would then be the council would have to adopt the new language, and then the applicant would then come back with their proposals tied into what was approved. But the current situation cannot remain for the applicant. I mean, that is clear that they are in a no movement situation, and that is unacceptable as a private property owner. They have to have some direction and be able to develop their property in some manner. And currently, as a PUD, that is not possible. So.
Applicant asked a decent, a fair question. Do we consider, what are the thoughts of the commission around allowing an RV park, not allowing it? I mean, that's kind of, in my opinion, one of the big decision factors here, right? They want to know to make the most out of the investment property. And
So can I ask, what happened to the residential investigation when they looked to do it? What killed it? Do we know?
The Great Recession in the one state recession of 2005, 2004. So it was approved in 2005, and then just, the wheels fell off the housing market here in Michigan.
And they're not interested in reevaluating that at this time?
They're right now, the way that PUD is, you can't move forward, and then we get into this issue about the underlying zoning, which right now is industrial, that limits residential use.
But I keep thinking it'd be nice if you had a residential area in there with the pond and the creek, and if EPA let it go or whatever.
Yeah.
But better, why not go that path than the RV park? Why are we stuck on an RV park? I guess that's your guys' call, but I'm just curious why we're not reevaluating that at this point.
I think for my call, it would be because your current future land use designation doesn't allow for us to even look at residential in that zoning district. And the existing zoning doesn't allow us to. Even if we tried to reopen the PUD, we were told that that PUD is no longer valid, and it was approved erroneously in 2005. So, but Mark might have a reason why he doesn't want to develop it. I mean, I don't, he's not a residential developer, but he might have a reason why he doesn't want to develop it.
It was, yes, it was going to be a big residential, but it all thought, we haven't had any interest in residential ever since.
And I think one of the concerns is you are literally abutting a Superfund, a Superfund site. And the concern is how you get the residential closure on any cleanup that may be required in the future to have single-family homes is maybe not possible, where a single user of a parcel has much more ability to maintain ownership and control, so that you wouldn't have a problem with any requirements that the EPA or Michigan DEQ or EGLE would enforce.
let's say the commission considers the zoning request, and then you do diligence and find out that you can't put an RV park or campground there for whatever the reason might be. Are there other plans or considerations for the property once rezoned, if that's not applicable?
That's the reason that they wouldn't want to rezone it to PSP. He would rezone it with conditionally for the RV park. And then if he gets into the review of the RV park and the EPA, because this question of environmental concerns is taken during final site plan review, because it's very costly to do all the investigations and work. So that stuff comes once he has some assurity that he can move forward with the project. He doesn't want to put all the money into it if the city is going to say no to the project. So once there is a way forward, and with the conditional rezoning, it would only be rezoned if the RV park was built. So otherwise, it would revert to the underlying zoning. Currently is PUD, but let's imagine that you enact your master plan, and then it would be the new M1 zoning district that it would revert to. And me being a planner, Arthur being a planner, we know that the EPA's requirement for industrial going on top of contaminated sites is much less onerous than other uses going on top of existing contaminated sites. So if it is found in the future that the EPA would not allow this use, it would revert back to a use that would be an easier push through the EPA. That's not saying that the site is contaminated in any way, but all that information will be provided to you during your site plan review of any project that goes through on this site or any site within the city of Gibraltar.
Questions from the,
I have a question.
sure, shoot.
The proposed zoning ordinance changes are still on the table for the PSP and M1, so don't those have to be approved,
Well,
created?
well, they have to be, I mean, we have to have the public
Council for two
hearing.
readings.
Right. I mean, so it has to, but under state law, we have to have a public hearing on those prior to it going to council. So next steps would be, if the planning commission would like to accept the requests of the applicant, one of the paths forward would be to set up public hearings at the next meeting for both the PSP and the adjustments to the M district. So that would be, and this isn't forcing you to accept the PSP use or the new zoning, but it allows you to gain more information, hear what the public has to say about it, and then you can make your recommendation to council from there. But at least we're moving forward. On one step forward is we have to deal with the PUD and trying to come up with a zoning that allows a path forward for the applicant in some use. The second component would be allowing the applicant to go forward with the PSP use as they've requested.
I apologize because I'm new to this group here and I missed a lot of the last year and a half of this, but is the PSP, why is that required over like a C2? Or, that we already have? Why are we making a new
Sure.
code?
Well, the reason for the PSP would be that you're thinking about the types of uses that are allowed in the public, semi-public are mostly recreation-based and large recreation facilities. If you allowed the RV park, and this is one of those questions about the applicants requesting to have it allowed in the M district. That means that you'd have an RV park anywhere within the M district. And that would also mean you could have an RV park in any C2 district. So by creating the PSP district, you're limiting where it could pop up in any of the other locations. Does that? Okay.
Any other?
Question from the audience.
Do-
Did you have a question?
I don't have a question, but I would say you could create standards that restrict it to certain properties. So your standards in your M1 or the new M1 district for a recreational use could be it has to be on a lot at least 75 acres in site, fronted on a minor arterial, and that would eliminate every other site that's currently zoned anything in your current city. So it would then restrict it just to this one property. So that is a path forward that's an easy
or path forward.
He is correct. That is, there would be ways to limit it. It's not as, if we didn't have an applicant and we were just thinking about this, I think that would be, my approach would be the best approach for the long-term management of the master plan and the zoning ordinance. Because we have an applicant here, that is probably the easier approach. And torpedo the PSP, or move the PSP forward, but also allow the M1, M2 special use approval in certain locations. So he does, Scott brings up a very good point, that we could also just go with the M1, M2 with the consideration of allowing a recreational use in only certain situations. That I think clears up some of the questions we're having at the table.
I'm going to offer my opinion. I feel much more comfortable talking in that manner than focusing towards an applicant's request and rezoning for an applicant's request, when we should be looking at the broader stroke of what the city needs, not necessarily what the applicant needs in this particular situation. So I feel better during that conversation that we just had than delving into the SP and, the public and semi-public use and developing that for an applicant's particular request.
It's not just for them, but it does have one of the components of that. But for a clearer path forward, Scott's solution may be the best.
Is there a way or an opportunity to answer some of the questions that Woody asked around the viability prior to rezoning of the property? Meaning,
I'm not sure that that's, I don't think that's appropriate, because the zoning application, a rezoning is a general concept, and it's about what is possible on the property. It is not site plan specific. And Woody's concerns are much more about the potential use, because an RV park use may have problems with the EPA that an industrial use would not. But when we look at a rezoning, we look at the future land use map. We don't look at the application of what is going to be used, because we're looking at the vision forward, and does it comply with the future land use map and the master plan, not getting in the weeds with the specific site or the specific proposed application.
Sounds good.
So was there one of these scenarios that provided the commercial along the main road and one did not? Is that?
No, both kind of proposals with or without the consolidation, I think, of the M3, the M1, M2, M3 to the M1 and 2 has the commercial recommendation would be in it.
Yes. And that one seems desirable to me as well.
I mean, with the deviation to allow them to investigate it for the RV park, because then if it fails, you don't have to go rezone it all again. It falls back to the M1, M2.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So that even for them, it would be easier to do
Gives them
that.
something to
And
shoot
for
at.
us, it's where you wanted it to go.
that's if we make it conditional upon the ability
The
to use
size.
it, right?
Well, if we allow an RV park use within an M district as a special
As a
use.
special use.
As a special use, and then on certain, then we can limit it to certain size parcels.
But if they don't have the ability to do the RV park, it would fall back on the original zoning, correct?
Well, it would then fall back to the M1, the new M1.
Which is part of our revised master plan.
Anyway.
Correct. Is there a,
What would our percentage of, if we did that, what would our percentage of M1, M2 be? it would grow because when we looked at that last time, it was PUD.
Well, no, it would, but it was, but the recommendation, that PUD, you have to look at the future land use map from 2002. That was going to be M3. So you were going from heavy industrial to M1, less industrial, and allowing additional uses and commercial. So you're reducing the amount of M that would be within the city.
So if the recreational vehicle park goes through, everything's approved, then that's what it'll be. But then you have to look at what happens if it's not, then we're left with the M1 zoning.
Correct, but it's M1 instead of M3.
But what is the total percentage for the city at that point then?
It's immaterial, because you have to zone it to something that he can that it can be used. Right. I mean, the PUD is, take that out, put it aside. That's an artifact of a different era and
But I
doesn't,
mean, like, get back to the conversation of doing it for the city versus this specific applicant. What's best for the city, to have more M zoning or to have other types of zoning?
you've answered that in your master plan.
Yeah.
And your master plan recommends that as an M1 light industrial district with commercial. You've already answered that question. You've adopted that master plan in October.
Yeah, well, if, it would be a different situation though. If this RV park goes through, then we wouldn't notice that additional M zoning. But if it doesn't, then we're left with more manufacturing in our community, or the potential for.
You're the same amount.
Well, I think what she's saying is that there might be more businesses that would consider M1, M2 industrial as opposed to bringing in a full-scale steel operation in M3.
Well, but it's not I mean, but M3 is what is from 2002. That's not on the table today.
Yeah.
But right now, it's PUD if we don't.
It's PUD with, that needs to be changed.
Actually, in your M3 zoning district, it does allow all uses in M1 and M2. So the underlying zoning currently is M3. So, but yes, I mean, to your question, your M3 zoning district does allow all the same uses from M1 and M2, so it doesn't eliminate, I mean,
The
just by
opportunity
having an
for
M3 doesn't not allow him to have a light industrial use on that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But the front 45 acres was still gonna be M1. It wasn't gonna be new
PSP.
No, correct,
right?
correct,
So it's just the back 78 acres.
correct.
That we would be doing a deviation amendment for.
Special use, yeah.
Special use.
Well, we're still actually complying with the master plan, because the master plan looked for a public, semi-public use. And under the definition, the RV park is a public, semi-public use. So we're not deviating from the master plan at all.
So you were trying to guide me, because I think you know where I want to go with this.
So a potential, an option would be a motion to recommend recommend a public hearing in consideration at the next meeting of an M1, M2 combination
Yes.
as described in the master plan, with consideration of adding a PSP use to the M1 district.
I would like to make that motion
With restrictions.
with yeah.
One question, I still do think that the special use permit acknowledgement under the new M1 might be the way, a much easier way forward than going through the PSP, because we're.
Oh, well, we're not proposing a PSP.
Yeah.
We're proposing just the
Yeah,
public,
just-
semi-public use
Yeah,
as special use.
I know, I'm just saying that for everybody's clarity.
Got it.
And we would then request the zoning text amendment, also for that, when we submit for our rezoning.
Well, no, we hope to have the zoning text amendment for you that would be considered
Oh, all right.
at the next meeting, per your motion.
Yeah, what are the restrictions to?
Well, that I don't know what the consideration would be, but the motion would be something to the effect of, at the next planning commission meeting, that the planning commission would consider a public hearing, would have a public hearing regarding amendments to the industrial districts, to combine the districts to M1 and M2, and add a public, semi-public, special use approval to the M1. Per the recommendations of the master plan.
I'll second it.
Moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Then we'll work on the restrictions or whatever. for the
Right, I mean, the
next-
language
We'll
is
work
the
on
public
language.
hearing, is the public's opportunity, and then there will be discussion amongst the planning commission, what to recommend, or if and what to recommend to the council.
Thank you, Arthur, that was not simple.
No, that's, it,
Katie, can you read that back? Sorry.
To hold a public hearing at the next planning commission meeting regarding the amendment to the industrial districts and combining the districts to M1 and M2, and add public, semi-public approval to M1.
special use approval to M1.
Okay. I thought you had said something about PSP. Per the recommendations of the master plan.
Yep,
Special use approval.
yeah, PS, yep.
Two M1.
Correct, sorry.
Yes, okay, right.
So that's really just getting us back in line with our master plan that we.
Correct.
And I think Kathy wanted to talk at the end.
Yes, we will. Okay. Did you put that right after new business, or is that, or did you,
I had it at the end of the meeting, before adjournment.
after commissioner forum? Okay. Okay. That closes item B for new business. Commissioner forum,
You want to let Kathy talk?
that's at the end.
Oh, that's at the very end? Okay.
One item for me for the March meeting would be discussion.
We need to do the tabled and referenced items?
No, I don't believe so. Those will come up shortly, though, after.
Well, basically, you would have to take them off the table to discuss them, and then you table them.
Yeah.
You would then put them back on the table, but it's basically coming before you at the next meeting.
It'll be at the next meeting because of what we just discussed.
Okay.
That's the same zoning.
Okay. I would like us to, one of the things we learned is that we want to postpone these and not table them, because in the tabled items, you're supposed to act on them at the meeting. So if you table it to a later portion, you're supposed to act to it, okay? So one of the things we need to do is probably put this in a different category of postponement, or whatever the commissioners might
You
feel
only
they
need to
want to
act on
do.
a tabled item if you bring it off the table. You don't need to, if it's on, a tabled item can stay tabled.
I'm explaining what we had learned is that use of tabling items is to be performed. If you want to table it, you're just pushing it to a latter part of the meeting so you can gather more information at that meeting to be able to process and act on it. If you're not going to act on it at the same meeting, then you need to postpone it.
And this was training that you just received. The
Parliamentary procedure and.
Right. Council just received some training on this, so.
So we want to get away from tabling items unless we're going to act on them at the meeting we're at.
Right.
So we could add a line item to our agenda called postpone, I guess, going forward? Is that what the council's gonna do, just so we're consistent?
Get it off the agenda altogether.
Well, that was where I was gonna go.
You can postpone it indefinitely. Then there is no action that takes place on that.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go, is just remove them from the agenda and then.
Well,
I'd like to
because
make a
we're.
motion to
right.
postpone the two items under tabled and referred items.
Or would you like to just remove them because we're going to be discussing them at the next meeting?
We'll postpone them till the next meeting.
Perfect.
That's my motion. I don't know if I have a second or not, but that's.
I'll second that.
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Any opposed? All right, cleared that up. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
We have been doing that. What's that?
Remember to do this on the next agenda.
She's after Commissioner Forum. Yep. Okay, Commissioner Forum, anybody else have anything? One item I'd like to bring into discussion potentially in March would be amendment to the ordinance for RVs in the Marine District and the number. I believe right now per parcel it allows for 40 RVs. I think the proposed at one of the sites is 25, and I would like to have the commission consider changing it to limit at 25, not in excess of the existing request at 25. So,
You need a motion to limit,
we can't do that here. We'd have to,
a recommendation?
Well, it's going to get added to the agenda.
be added to the agenda, and then
For
we'd
next
have to-
meeting, next month.
yeah. Yeah, yep, okay. Okay, we don't need a motion for that, right? Okay. Public comment?
So I have a couple of questions. Kathy LaPointe, 29874 Kingsbridge Drive, and then I'll make my point. Do you have a law that cites that the city of Gibraltar cannot, I'm a little concerned with some new planning commission members and the fact that you said you cannot leave it PUD. Is there a law, a state law that prohibits us from doing that, that you can cite?
You can't prohibit a person from being able to use their property, and right now, we have determined that there's no a use. I would assume that's under, I'd have to look it up. I don't, it's either gonna be in the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, or it's gonna be under some court cases as well.
And when you say we, you mean your professional service company that's advising this city?
I would say that that's general planning opinion.
Okay, all righty, thank you for that. I needed to clear that up. Because my first takeaway was, they asked for PUD, we gave them PUD, can't sell the property, always been contaminated, no surprise there. They made tons of money on the landfill, got an expansion, it's all history coming back around. So now we can't sell the property again. It could be that we want to split the lot, and I guess this leads to my next question. So right now, if I'm looking at that map back there, currently M1, so we're going to have a public hearing that says it can be M1 or 2 consolidate, which means it could be a heavier industrial than we have today. And I'm not talking about the RV park, the other parcel that they will be able to sell. Is that true or not?
Right.
No, the intent is to create 2 districts, as proposed, and would be discussed at the next meeting. The 2 districts would be M1, which would be everywhere except for McLeod. So it would include whatever property, remaining property he has that would be industrial. It would not be M2, it would be to M1.
Which it is now, so that wouldn't be a change, so I'm still a little confused.
I think, Arthur, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it's PUD, but it backlies as an M3, correct? So it is a zoned M3 property right now, which is heavy industrial. So if they don't use PUD, they can fall back to that zoning classification. I think what we're trying to do.
They can't fall back to it.
Well, we have to do something for the applicant. And so the city has to rezone. It is up to the city has the opportunity to make a reasonable adjustment to what it changes to. It does have to fall back to M3, but because that doesn't meet the now current master plan, then you have the option to make a reasonable adjustment.
Could this RV park be the sister RV park to the one that's across Middle Gibraltar Road? There's 78 acres. I'm just doing hypotheticals. So the biggest uproar in the city was when that RV park came in. And here we are very calmly with no residents here because I don't think they know yet that we're, and here's my point. I think this transient RV park is worse than having permanent residents. And then that's the point I'd like to make. Consider that. So can you answer that question? Could it be another RV park? Because we're calling it an RV park.
No, the definition of this is a transient.
Transient, okay. And so how long can the?
Recreational vehicle park.
Right. So say I have an RV. Have we talked about how long I can stay there?
That's going to be part of the discussions by the planning commission at their next meeting.
Okay.
But a mobile home park, which is what is south of that, is a completely different use.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Thank you for the clarification. And then has anybody done an estimation? They said one of the benefits was the tax revenue it'll generate. Did anybody have any data on that or numbers yet from your financial people?
And that is not something that you can request the applicant to provide for rezoning.
Did ask the question, but we can't.
I'm sorry?
We did ask.
Okay.
I did ask some questions around that, but.
But no answers.
Well,
Okay.
it's not that you're not able to require that kind of information from the applicant.
Okay, so the process will be, and what has been approved is that you'll have a public hearing at the next planning commission meeting, and we'll do this all again, and hopefully some people will be here to give you some feedback
In more detail.
about what their vision for the city of Gibraltar is. I really would request that you do due diligence, and please get something in writing from Mr. Mullen to the fact that we cannot change that from PUD. Because I think that was the right decision, then I still think it's the right decision. And if we can leave it alone, leave it alone. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll speak in public comment. Just on the taxes, they will be set by the city assessor. Usually your taxes are assessed on the market value of the property after the improvements are created. So currently it's a vacant site. I don't know what you currently have it assessed at, but I'm imagining with any type of development, it will be assessed at more than the current vacant site is assessed at. The RV park will be putting in a lot of money to improve the site, so that will all be assessed by your assessor. So we don't get to set the taxable value. That's set by the city of Gibraltar.
Any other public comment? Looking for a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That ends the planning commission meeting.
Well, good evening again. We've already done our pledge, so I'd like to jump straight into the roll. Katie, can we please call roll to call the Downtown Development Authority meeting in order this evening?
Schumate,
Here.
Baker, Bilk, Cox.
Here.
Pirzone. Here. Hutchinson.
Here.
Mendoza Bach. Hyatt. Here. Upholzer. Wood.
Here.
All right, we need a motion to excuse absent members Upholzer, Mendoza Bach, and Baker.
Motion to excuse.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. At this time, we'd like for the Downtown Development Authority meeting to open up to public comments. Are there any public comments from those in attendance this evening? That will close our public comments. Commission members in front of me, looking for a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
Motion to approve.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? In your packet in front of you, moving on to the next agenda item, approval of previous meeting minutes. We would need a motion to approve the DDA minutes of January 16th, 2024, captured within your packet.
Motion to approve.
We have a second? Second by Bilk. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. The next item on our agenda is an acknowledgement of correspondence. This is the DDA budget as of February 15th, 2024. Do we have a motion to acknowledge the correspondence related to DDA budget February 15th, 2024?
Motion to acknowledge correspondence.
Second.
We have a second by Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no items under unfinished business this evening, and so with that, I'd love to jump into new business, and I'm going to turn over our floor to our Parks and Recreation Director, Goris.
Good evening, everybody. It's time for 4th of July, so we went out for bids for Porta-Johns. The bid request was for 2 Porta-Johns for the ball fields for 5 months, 13 Porta-Johns for 4th of July, 1 handicap with the pump out and delivery and pickup. The best bid was for Bob's Sanitation. The second bid from United Rental did not include pump out or delivery, and they were $4,600. $4,650, where Bob's Sanitation was $4,330. So I ask that you approve bid for Bob's Sanitation.
Motion to approve the bid.
Is this up from last year? Or, I can't remember.
Everything's up from
Yeah,
last year,
fair enough.
everything.
Support.
Tammy, you said 4,330?
For Bob's Sanitation, yeah.
Yeah.
The United bid didn't even, didn't include the pump out or delivery and pickup, so they weren't even close to the request of our bid.
When they put them out for the ball fields, how often do they pump them out?
Once a week. And it's special pickup for when they get turned over and they have to be cleaned out and exchanged.
So this will take care of our needs for the summer,
Mhm.
correct?
Yep. They'll get, the ball fields will get put out the middle of April, first week of April, and then picked up the first, second week of August.
I got a motion and a second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
None. Okay, the second bid request was for deluxe party, for tents and chairs, tables, and a stage. The only one that come close to that bid was deluxe party tent and rental, and that was $3276.30, where S&S had no stage and did not include the delivery charge. So I'm asking you to accept the bid for deluxe tent and party rental.
Motion to accept the bid.
It's there for how many days?
Pardon?
How many days is it?
For the 10th, they'll deliver it on the 2nd, and it'll be picked up on Monday after the 4th. They are not there on the weekend. With the 4th being on Thursday, they won't be there Saturday to pick up, so it'll be there until Monday.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next is the budget for the entertainment for 4th of July. Those are the prices for the bands. The one on July 3rd was $1,250. Mr. Mayor Schumate pitched in $625 for that. So the remaining cost is $3,575. And all the band prices also went up.
Motion to approve.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Any
you, Mayor,
opposed?
thank you, Mayor Schumate, for the donation.
Glad to do it, thank you. Did not hear any opposed? Great.
Last is music in the park. There's the prices. We have a donation from Rob Molnar for $800 for the first band. And then there's three other bands and movie in the park, total of $2,637.92. Also have a $300 donation from Jeffries. And I did go out for donations, so they're still coming in, so hopefully it'll be 100% covered like it was last year, but don't know.
Motion to approve.
Support.
We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Councilman Molnar, for their donation as well.
And Jeffries and Full Speed Ahead also donated their time for entertainment, One Music in the Park. So they donated their full band for that night. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Parks and Recreation Director Goris. That concludes our new business items on the agenda this evening. For our DDA Director's Report, I know I had a chance to properly introduce Vince earlier. Vince, anything to add after your first meeting tonight?
Oh, thank you, Mayor.
Great. That'll close our DDA Director's Report and move us on to table and referred items, for which we have none. Thank you, Councilman Cox, for applying our MML training to the discussion earlier. And with that, I'd look for a motion to adjourn this evening.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a second by Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, I hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you so much for all you do.